Ryan and Jacob went from broke indie hackers to $100,000 of income in just 3 months. Before this, they had tried and failed for 2 years to build a SaaS company and used up all their money. In this video, I will break down what changed and the exact steps they used to build a profitable business in just 3 months. First, let's rewind a little. Ryan and Jacob had been building a SaaS app for 2 years. They were stuck, running out of money, and they had maybe a couple of months of runway left in the bank. They were staring down the barrel of failure, moving back in with their parents and going back to jobs that they hated. So they resorted to a backup plan. Even though they'd been through 3 or 4 major iterations with the SaaS app, they'd done all of the right things, they'd spoken with customers, helped people get value from the tool, they'd taken risk, they focused on one product when most people get shiny object syndrome. So why was it not working? No matter what they did, they couldn't seem to get past $1,500 a month. That was the barrier for them, and they just couldn't break through that wall. Most of the time, they were nowhere near that. So the first chapter in this story is called The Switch Up. While building this app, Ryan and Jacob had sent a lot of cold email. They also did a lot of selling, and people weren't interested in their product, but they kept hearing a common statement, and it was, "I wish we could just hire you to do our sales." And of course, they ignored that comment. And that's really the first key takeaway from this story, is that often as entrepreneurs, we know what we want to build, we have a vision, and we do whatever we can to bring this vision into life. But sometimes you have to actively listen to the cues and the feedback that you're being given. Ryan in particular was reluctant. He talked himself out of it. He said that, this would suck. But thankfully, Jacob managed to change Ryan's mind. And so together they decided to give it a go. So on to the next chapter. How do you go from nothing to a profitable cold email as a service agency in just 3 months? So here is exactly what Ryan and Jacob did. The first thought they had was, can we actually do this for anyone for free, right? So they first wanted to get an idea of, could they offer this service to people and could they actually deliver on the promise before they even charged anybody any money for it? So they started posting in Slack groups, they started tweeting, and of course, sending cold emails. And they got 3 companies to take them up on the free offer. They ended up doing 2 weeks for free for these companies, and they got results for 2 other companies right away. And whilst they were doing this, they kept refining ways to sell each new client, and they kept, scraping more data, cold emailing more people, and bringing in more customers. The other thing they did really well is that they split their responsibilities. So Jacob handled a lot of the infrastructure and the operations in the business, and Ryan handled more of the selling and dealing with the customers. And this is why having co-founders is so useful. And it worked well, right? So they got 3 companies paying them $500 a month. They were stoked, right? 2 weeks to get to $1,500 a month. Not bad at all, considering they never really managed to achieve that with the SaaS app in about 4 years. And the next chapter is called The Sequence. So now that it was working, how did they grow the business and importantly, make more money? One of the things they did is daily stand-ups. These are short meetings, normally held at the same time every day. They only last around 15 to 30 minutes, and it provides an opportunity for team members to review progress, share updates, identify problems, challenges, and the goal is to keep everybody aligned and moving towards that common target. And during these stand-ups, they focused on 2 things. Often these can get overcomplicated and too much can get discussed. Ryan and Jacob just focused on acquisition, getting new customers, and then B, they focused on retention, right? Keeping those customers by getting them results and setting expectations. And one of the things they did really well to get new customers is they would even cold email businesses with a custom video, probably filmed on Loom, that would show them, look, here's how we can help you. The next step, as they improved, was to charge more for their services. And so many people miss this step. So I really want to highlight this, is keep raising your prices until you hit resistance. So first they charged $1,000 a month, and people paid them and signed up. So then they started pitching it $2,000 a month. People paid them and signed up, right? So they just kept pushing the price up until they hit resistance. And so after 2.5 months of pushing the business, tweeting, emailing, acquiring new customers, they were doing pretty well. And they said, right, let's take some of the money in the bank. Let's go meet up in person in Barcelona. So this next chapter is the in-person jam. As someone who has run a remote business for over a decade, in-person is so underrated. These group meetups are brilliant for team culture and for new ideas. Jacob and Ryan spent this time honing their offer, their position, and really improving the service. And then because of this, every week or two, they'd add more customers. At one point they were adding about 13 customers a week. They might churn 3 for a variety of reasons, but before they knew it, they were at $100,000 of annual recurring revenue. And so that brings us on to the final chapter. No longer broke indie hackers. This was a backup plan that actually turned into a pretty cool reality and a cool business for Ryan and Jacob. They loved the challenge. Of course, they were afraid starting this journey, but they relished the opportunity, right? And Ryan and Jacob say that they had bought too much into this indie hacker idea of building a SaaS app. That's really hard mode to start out in business. Easy mode is creating a service, particularly a service that people already pay for, like this lead gen service, but putting your own spin on it. This means that you have money coming in, and then if you want to build a SaaS app, well, then use that money to do that, but you don't have that pressure where you're constantly running out of money. And, I'm starting this journey myself right now. We're building a new agency. Myself and my good friend are launching it. So we'll be documenting more about that here on the channel. If you enjoyed this video, then click the link on screen now to learn how I grew an email newsletter from zero.